our attention was caught by something moving in the woods. It was like a side profile of a large man. It was moving from my right to my left, and it was heading towards our campsite. I remember looking at this thing, and the weirdest thing about the whole situation is how it was moving. It was like it was on like a treadmill. Like it was just sitting there, and it was like an escalator, like you go to those airports where you can like stand and the escalator will just take you. That's how it was moving through the woods, and so it was basically gliding.
Hey Joel, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Yeah,
we know that you had an encounter in the Pacific Northwest. Is that right?
I did. Yes, I did back in 1996. I was 13, 14 years old.
Okay. What can you give us like a general area of the Pacific Northwest? What state, maybe what area?
Yeah, so Washington State. It was on an island, it's a pretty large island called Squaxin Island, and it's kind of it's basically pretty close to Olympia. It's very close to Olympia, kind of in the inlet there. I don't know if you guys want me just to start at the beginning and kind of just break it all down and go
Sure.
from there.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So my mother at the time was dating a Squaxin Island tribal member, and he was a gooey duck diver, and he had close family on the reservation that would always go out to this island and go out there and go camping, and they would spend a lot of time out there, and they would go out and go gooey duck diving there in the bay, and so eventually I started going out there with my mom and her boyfriend, and this island is it's really, really long. It's a big island. You can't cover it, in a matter of a week. It's very big. It's a big island, and it's very desolate. There is nothing on it. It's just deep forest. And there was a spot where we would camp that had this this old ramshackled house, and the house was kind of like kind of inset in the woods a little bit. And the story was that it was the old great grandmother's house of the lady that my mom's boyfriend, part of their group, right? So we would go and we'd camp right there on this little it was kind of like a little cove almost, and about 100 yards down the beach there was like an inlet. There's a big inlet that kind of like bled into the island, and on that inlet there was a massive dock, and this dock was probably, I don't know, 40 yards long. And anyways, this one weekend we go out there, and it's myself, it's my mother, it's my very close friend Chris, and my mom's boyfriend, and we go out there, and we pull up in our boat and get out and start setting our little campsite up, and my mom's boyfriend at the time's like, hey, I'm gonna go gooey duck diving for a few hours, and then I'll be back. And so he basically just left myself, my mother, and Chris there on the island, and took off. Well, anyways, Chris and I we traversed down to our dock where we always kind of hung out, because we had been out there a couple times, and we always had a little 22 caliber rifle, and we'd go out and we'd get on the dock, and we would shoot into the water, and we were shooting jellyfish. That's what we were doing at that time. And I believe I my mom was still at the camp, and I had my rifle in my hands. And picture that the dock, it doesn't necessarily stick out from the island, like out into the water. It kind of like runs parallel with the island over that cove. Does that make sense? So it's kind of running the length of the island, but it's over this big cove. And so I'm sitting there, and I was shooting the 22, I believe, at the time, and I was kind of pointing down into the cove back towards into the island. And I believe it was Chris that noticed it, or it could have been me. I cannot remember for the life of me, but one of us caught our attention was caught by something moving in the woods. And so picture the cove is a good 60 yards into the island, and we saw something. it looked like it was like a side profile of a large man. Okay. And I could not see any detail. Okay. But it was moving from my right to my left, and it was heading towards our campsite. And I remember looking at the thing, and the weirdest thing about the whole situation is how it was moving. It was like it was on like a treadmill. Like it was just sitting there, and it was like an escalator, like you go to those airports where you can like stand and the escalator will just take you. Like it'll just be, you just stand there basically. That's how it was moving through the woods. And so it was basically gliding across in the deep woods. And it was inset, 10 to 15 feet approximately into the woods. So I could just see a black, large man size profile just basically gliding across the ground into the woods. There was no arm movement. There was no, like, it was very unnatural. It was very unnatural. And I took the rifle and I pointed it, kind of back 30, 40 yards, and I fired off, 5 rounds or something like that. And the other thing that was really odd about the whole situation is it did not respond in any way. So it was, if somebody hears gunshots, they're going to react, right? Naturally. But it was almost like whatever this was maybe wasn't there. It was really, really, really odd. And I cannot for the life of me say that this was a Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever. It was just very, very unnatural. And eventually we took off because it was basically heading towards my camp, and my mom was back there. And so we took off and we jumped off the edge of the dock. And I remember we didn't run into the woods. We ran down to the beach and basically were, hightailing it down the beach to get back. And my mom never saw anything. We were freaking out, obviously, because I did not know what this was. And this island, there's nobody. There was, the Squaxin Island tribal members would always, tell us stories, stick Indians and all these different, cryptids and stuff. But we never really believed it. I thought it was just to kind of scare us, right? As kids. But we were freaking out, and we were actually left there. My mom's boyfriend never came back until like 2:00 in the morning. So it was a long night. I was pretty scared. But yeah, that was the gist of my experience. Pretty wild.
Cool. What did you do after that? I mean,
this is 1996. There was no cell phones, right? I mean, there were cell phones, but we didn't have cell phones. I had a pager, right? And so we were on this island, and it was just myself, my mom, my buddy Chris, and three very white people on this Indian island. And there's a lot of history with that island. And so we were in 2 tents at that time. We slept in one. And we were like crammed in there. I was very, very, very concerned, for sure. It was really weird, really weird.
So did you get into Bigfoot or cryptids after that? Did you start looking for them?
I really did not. I did not really get into Bigfoot until around probably 2016, 2017. And so, good 20 years later. I did not tie this incident to Bigfoot. I did not tie it to Bigfoot. So the reason I decided to share my story was because I started kind of I'm an avid overlander. I like to go out in the woods. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Bigfoot's everywhere, right? And I heard a couple stories talking about how it moved, how people have said Bigfoot moves and it's very unnatural. And it sparked it sparked that memory. For some reason, it just sparked the memory. And I had ran into my mom's ex-boyfriend a few years ago, and I did not know if the movement that I saw was something that I had like made up in the last 20 years. Like maybe it just somehow changed in my mind. And so I happened to run across my mom's ex-boyfriend, and I questioned him on it. And he was I didn't question him on how it moved, but I questioned him about that memory. I was like, oh man, you remember when you basically left us on the island? And it triggered the movement memory. It like pulled up that core memory. And I'm still very good friends with Chris, my buddy Chris. And so I called him, and I wanted to see if I was like crazy. And so I started asking him questions about what he remembered to see if I was like making this thing up in my mind over the last 20 years, right? And he confirmed to me without me asking directly about the oddball movement that this thing had, right? And so it just kind of reconfirmed my memory was not something I had made up, and that tied me into Bigfoot. It tied me into kind of investigating a bit more, right? But again, I can't confirm that's what I saw. I just saw something large, something black, and it was bipedal, and it was moving very unnaturally.
Yeah, I think I found the island that you were talking about. There is nothing on that island. It's
Nope.
just there.
Yeah, they took the dock down a long time ago. It was bad shape in '96, and so they took that down. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing on it, and it's a big island. So,
except for probably a lot of Bigfoot, right?
maybe, or I'm a person that's kind of open-minded. I think that Bigfoot could be, I don't know if it's just an animal, if it's interdimensional. I think my mind is open, and I know that one person commented on my thread when I posted my experience, and he was like, "Man, maybe whatever it was, whether it was Bigfoot or not, maybe it was like in between dimensions, and that's why it did not register to the gunshots." And I was like, man, that's a very interesting thought. It's a very interesting thought. So maybe so, because it never reacted at all. So very odd.
We've heard about that gliding movement.
Yeah.
Their heads don't move up and down; it stays straight, like they're on an escalator.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they have at the in the airports, the stuff along there. And then you think about like the Patty film,
mm-hmm.
and she doesn't appear to be walking that way necessarily.
No.
So it kind of makes you wonder. But I've been thinking about it. What if they're walking on their toes, like their tiptoes, and it's a way that they think they're more sneaky,
mm-hmm.
and that enables them to look like they're gliding or something.
Yeah, maybe so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally.
Because when you're sneaking around your tiptoes, you kind of feel like you're maybe not moving your body as much, upper body as much,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
That could be it, possibly. Or they just have the ability to glide along or be in between dimensions. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I really don't. And like I said, it was there was no depth to it. It wasn't like I had any kind of sheen off. I couldn't see any sheen off the fur or whatever it was. It was just solid black, and it was just a side profile. That's all I saw, and it was just moving. But I could see it clear as day. Does that make sense? But it was a good ways away. But I know it was bipedal, and it was a large figure. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of person would be out there walking around like that? First,
Yeah. Like that, and then not respond to any kind of gunfire. It just was not. It was weird, very weird. So, and Chris, my buddy, he told he played the story back to me, and it was it's been what is it, freaking 30 years or 25 years or whatever it is. He played it back just like I remembered it. It just it never really tied to Bigfoot until later in my life. So, which I'm a big believer in him.
Well, yeah, you should be. You saw one.
yeah, maybe so. So pretty wild though.
Are you getting out there nowadays at all and hiking around?
I haven't been out there. I've never been back to Squaxin Island. After that, I think I did go back there, but I camped on the opposite side, and we had an experience there, but I can't say for sure what it was. It was similar. It scared the crap out of me, but I never saw anything. It was just something bipedal walking up the beach at night. I could hear it walking. So I don't know what that was, but it was on the same island. It was just on the opposite side. But I absolutely go out I go out all the time. I try to get out once a month. I just got back from a trip to the Dark Divide, which is in the Gifford Pinchot, which is one of the big Bigfoot areas. I go overlanding out there, camping out there. I love to get out. So anywhere I can go where I could possibly see something, I'm there.
Yeah, you're in the perfect area for it. And then even that area around Seattle, and the Olympic National Forest, there just saturated
from the Olympic.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, I've listened to countless stories and follow a lot of different podcasts, and it's definitely changed my perspective as time has went on, and I've listened to other people because you listen to people, and you guys obviously interview a lot of people, and man, I tell you what, just like the details people report, it's just stuff that people are not going to make up. They had to have seen something. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of times people say something very unique, and you're thinking to yourself, "Wow, they really did see it do that, or they saw that. That's why would you make? How could you even think of making something?
How could you make it up? Yeah, totally, and that's what really keeps me attached to it. I think it's very interesting, and I think we we find different animals and species every day. So something that is possibly either interdimensional, supernatural, or whatever, or that is smart. Who's to say? Who's to say? This world's big. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think if you would have seen it just walking naturally and not looking like it was gliding or whatnot, do you think you would have thought different about it?
That's a good question. I never really thought about that. Yeah, I think the other thing that keeps coming back to my mind is it wasn't just the walking, it was the lack of reaction to gunfire in its vicinity. Human being would naturally respond. And that's why I shot not at them, I shot away from them, but I did it repetitively. Boom, 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 boom with my 22. Because I did not know what I was seeing. Something was weird to me. And I just was like, doing what a 14-year-old kid would do. And so I guess if it was walking naturally, it probably, it may have changed my mind. I don't know though. I'd still kind of wonder. But the movement was definitely not natural. It was almost like, ghost-like. You know what I'm saying? That's what it felt like. But it was solid, a solid apparition, or whatever it was, right? So, yeah.
That thing probably was watching you guys and was just trying to get out of there before you spotted it, I'm guessing.
Maybe so.
It had to know you were there.
Yeah, I assume so, because we had been there for 20 minutes or something like that, just shooting into the water, and we had done it multiple times, but there was never any pace change. It looked like it just was like, hey, I'm gonna go over here, and that's what it did. It just was going towards my camp, going towards where that weird ramshackled house was. So I didn't know what the heck was going on, and I had no way to get off the island. But there was, like I told you, there was a lot of stories, a lot of stories we were told. There's all kinds of wild dogs on that island. People would drop their dogs off, so you'd hear just crazy noises at night. Nothing I never tied it to Bigfoot back then. Never. That was not even in my thought process. So just like I said, until later in my life where I started tying stuff together.
Was there like a good food source? Was there deer on that island and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, there's deer, because they would hunt that island often, and so there was definitely deer. I mean, it's like a normal Pacific Northwest forest. That's what it's like. It is super thick, and you're thinking like, well, it's an island. How likely is that? But I don't know. I have no idea. I'm no expert. So, but it's super thick. Very desolate, though.
How close is it to the mainland? Is it possible to swim to it or swim off of it?
Oh, you'd have a heck of a time trying to swim to it. Boat ride, if you're in just like a little, fishing boat, 30, 40 minutes.
Oh, okay. far enough.
It's far enough. Yeah, it's not something you want to swim to. I mean, if you're a professional swimmer, maybe, but it's the sound. It's the inlet, it's the bay. So,
how many acres do you think this island is? Any idea?
Oh man, I could not for say. I could not.
Or miles wide by miles long. Any idea?
Miles long. Good Lord, man, I've never really thought about it. It is, like I said, it's something you can't cover in a week. It's big. It's a big island. It's a big island. It's not a small island.
I was just thinking
if to hide there.
If it's hard to get on and off of, if it's that long of a boat ride, I don't think anything that's on it, like a Bigfoot, maybe is going to try to swim to the mainland.
Yeah.
And if it's big enough for them to maintain on it. But if it is an island that's that way, you could get enough people, or you could do some kind of, push through somewhere and maybe come across these creatures.
You probably could do something like that. I think you could probably, if you have a big enough group, for sure. But as just a one person, you're not going to be able to cover it in a short amount of time.
Are there any road systems in there?
There's nothing there. It is nothing but deep forest. That's all it is.
And it's been forever.
I've been around it. I've clammed on a couple different sides of it while I was obviously camping there from time to time. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing but trees, forest, and it's deep.
Any bear on that island?
Not that I know of. I know there's deer, wild dogs. I mean, the dogs were surviving out there. So, you'd be surprised how much stuff swims. You know what I'm saying? They swim over to that island. And I mean, it's not inhabited in any way. And so, to stay on it, probably could and not be, found. And I question the fact that, there's so much, Washington State has so much, volcanic activity. St. Helens and Adams and Rainier. And I mean, just around St. Helens, you have, underground tunnels everywhere. And so, that brings to, speculate what's living underground. There's definitely, possibilities of that where we just don't know, Ape Canyon.
Oh yeah. We've talked about that many times.
Yeah. Ape Canyon is obviously a very well-known story. And I've done a lot of the tunnels out there, and it's wild. It's a wild place. So, yeah.
Yeah, Mammoth Cave is like the longest cave system in the world, and it's got 400 some miles of. 400 miles is nothing to laugh at.
No,
I mean, it did take you forever to walk 400 miles.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and it's like, what else is out there that we haven't discovered?
Yeah,
that we don't know about. That's possibly covered up. I mean, who knows? Who knows? So,
well, if Bigfoot are able to go in the caves and they have these weird abilities like cloaking and stuff like that, no wonder we're never we can't always find them. I mean, if that's true, do you think they are paranormal in some way? Do you think they have special abilities that are out of this world, maybe from another dimension?
Well, there's so many weird deals about them. I was always like, didn't believe that when I first started really diving into it. I was like, it's some sort of like, Gigantopithecus came over from Russia at some point, crossed over from China, and it's something that has changed over the years. And because I mean, Gigantopithecus is a huge monkey, right? That thing was monstrous. And I think the only thing we've really found of them is their molars or some small bone fragments. We don't have any kind of skeletons of those things. And so who's to say that's not something derived from that, right? Bigfoot's not something derived from that. I don't know. Because there was a land bridge that came over at one point, And so that was always kind of where my mind was. But as I progressed through the stories and I listened to people, and like I was saying, I listened to their personal detailed accounts. And I know that, you see videos today, you can't even question them, because it's like, is it AI? Is it fake? You don't know what's real anymore. But there's so many oddball, those cloaking, people have caught things cloaking. Who's to say what that is? But I know that we have mathematically proven there's different dimensions, so there's just so many different, ways to go with it. And it swayed my mind, like I was saying, to be more open to other possibilities, like possibly be interdimensional. There's the really weird thing, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, that always kind of stuck with me, is the fact that, you know, you got these orbs. I have not witnessed any orbs personally, and like I said, I've been out in the wilderness a lot. Grew up in the wilderness, been out there a lot, but I have not seen any orbs. But I have wondered, you know, people hear like a metallic sound. Have you heard that before? Like a gate opening or closing? And that's always something that's kind of like really puzzled me, where people would hear that before having some sort of an experience, you know? And so that's something I've always kind of questioned, you know, why would there be some sort of metallic sound before an experience? And I've heard multiple people call that out, you know, before even seeing an orb or something like that, right? So I've definitely questioned that. I think that's very interesting. And then with that metallic sound directly after, people having some sort of like just horrible stench, you know. And I know people have tied, you know, possible dimension openings having a horrible smell. Like that's something that kind of followed that idea. So there's just so many different outlets, you know, who knows what to believe. I haven't experienced it personally, you know, so, but I think it's a possibility.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's all any of us have right now is just, you know, speculation and guesses, basically.
Yeah. I find
hopefully someday we'll all figure it out, but
right. Yeah. I find myself, wanting to go out more and more. You know, I know it's crazy to go out and look for stuff like that, but I don't go out and do wood knocks or nothing like that. You know, I just go out and try to enjoy myself. And I believe that if he wants you to see him, he's going to let you. Right. I think it's kind of up to him. It's not necessarily us. So if he so chooses, you know, but it's always the people that don't necessarily believe in him that he lets them see. And that's people that believe in him. We don't get to see nothing. So, you know, that's what it seems like to me anyways.
Yeah, I'm gonna start not believing in Bigfoot.
I know.
He's not real.
I know. Yeah, yell it out.
Heck with that.
So
I'm just gonna go hiking just to go hiking and not believe in Bigfoot.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go out again here shortly in a couple of weeks to the Dark Divide again and spend some time out there for about 4 days. So I'm excited.
To start walking through the woods and be like, I don't believe you're out here, Bigfoot.
Right. Exactly. Call them out, right?
Right.
Yep. So, yeah, it's fun. It's interesting.
It is.
Makes life good. I got an 8-foot tall Bigfoot sitting outside my house, so I'm a big fan.
Right.
Awesome.
Yep. Yes.
Have you heard of any other crazy encounters around those areas, or people seeing other things besides Bigfoot or anything like that?
You know, no, it's primarily you know, Sasquatch. There's a lot of paranormal stuff, but not necessarily anything that's you know, deep cryptid related, like Dogman or, you know, the Rake or anything like that. I'm kind of interested in all that stuff. I think it's all a possibility, but I'm also I'm a Christian. I'm a religious guy, so I have a very strong faith, and so I don't know if that stuff's necessarily good, you know. So, you know, personally, like the people that I know, not a whole lot of crazy stories. Not a whole lot of crazy stories. I had another incident that I can't again tie to Bigfoot, but I was up at a ghost town. I go to ghost towns all the time. I search ghost towns in Washington State, and I go check them out, right? And we were at this ghost town of Wellington, and it's the site of the largest train disaster to date in U.S. history, and it happened in 1911. And we were sitting there.
I've heard about that. They talked about that on Expedition X one time. The avalanche that took that train out.
Yep. Took out two trains.
Yeah.
Like 109 people, 110 people, something like that. And I've been there probably. Yeah, it was brutal. And I went up to the location and went down and checked out all the train parts that are still there. Yada yada yada. Well, anyways, I camped over the weekend, and I'm sitting there. It's like 5 a.m, and I'm at the site of the town where the town was. And that's like 100 yards from the site where the trains were sitting when they were taken off the mountain. And we're sitting there, and it's just me and my buddy. And again, this is up in Stevens Pass, and it's in, the Cascades, North Cascades. And so it is deep, deep woods, and there's nothing around, right? And we're sitting there, and there's this bird chirping, and this bird is just chirp, 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 nonstop, 20 minutes straight. And all of a sudden, the loudest scream I have ever heard happened, and it was probably 50 to 60 yards from me down the hill. And it was not like a high-pitched woman screaming. It was like deep and loud and long. And so it had to have been big. Whatever it was big, because the lung capacity was not human, right? So it had to have been either a big animal or whatever, right? And that bird shut up. And I was just sitting there like, what the heck was that? I obviously had my pistol on me, but we were going to hike this place, all day. And that definitely put me on edge. But it was the loudest scream, roar that I had ever heard in the woods. So I don't know what it was, but it was tired of the bird chirping. That's for sure.
We've heard that as being possible Bigfoot before, a long drawn out kind of thing. And I wonder why they do that. Are they doing it
I don't know,
to let others know where they're at? Are they, lost? Are they looking for somebody?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I was tired of the bird. So, I think it may have been.
Well, he was probably tired of the bird too.
That bird shut up. Everything shut up after that.
Or he wanted you out of there.
Yeah. Who knows? So
maybe he was tired of you being there. Time for you to go.
Yeah. I thought about it. Trust me. Me and my buddy were like wide-eyed, like frozen. Like, what was that? So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, Joel, we want to thank you for being on the show tonight, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Those are great stories.
And
definitely stay in touch and let us know if you find anything else out there.
If I do, I will. Spot. Yeah, I am, and I go out all the time. So if I get anything, hear anything, I will definitely reach out to you guys and let you know.
Sounds good. And be safe out there where you're going. I know it's kind of a treacherous area, so.
It is. It is a wild area. For sure. Yep, absolutely. I will. Yeah. I appreciate it, guys.
We hope you see something. Hope you get a hold of us, brother.
Yes, sir. We'll do.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Joel, we appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks.